Check the time and it's 6. Hello there, good evening, and thank you for joining us here on ABC News. You're watching Prime News, and I am Eric Chinebwa-Melo. Coming up in the headlines. President John Dramani Mahama has made 3 key ministerial appointments, with Dr. Kezia Lotu-Forson set to lead Finance Minister. However, minority in Parliament raises concern over piecemeal nominations. We will have a conversation on this. Also, President John Dramani Mahama has promised to fix the looming power crisis situation, emphasizing that his government won't shift blame to anyone and will also engage an expert on this conversation. Later in the bulletin, food shortage in schools have forced parents to augment provisions for their wards in the Western region. And in business, economists at the University of Ghana has stated that the country can work hard to bring debt to sustainable levels within the next 5 to 7 years. Later on the international front, Chad's security forces thwarted an attempt to destabilize the country after gunfire erupted near the presidential office, leaving 19 dead. Stay for the details of these and more after this. We are streaming live on YouTube, ABC News GH. Do you want to connect with us as well? For more news, you can visit our website, www.abcnewsgh.com. On to our first story. President John Dramani Mahama has announced his first set of ministerial appointments, with Dr. Kezia Lotu-Forson, John Jinapor, and Dominic Ayine grabbing key positions. A statement issued by the presidency on January 9 said President Mahama has submitted the ministerial nominations to Speaker of Parliament Alban Kingsford Bagbin by Article 79 of the 1992 Constitution of Ghana. And in the list, Honorable Dr. Kezia Lotu-Forson Bar is Minister for Finance Designate, Honorable John Abdullahi Jinapor, Minister for Energy Designate, Honorable Dominic Akurutinga Ayine, Attorney General and Minister for Justice Designate. And now let's look at some of the profiles of these persons that they have been nominated by the President. And just in a few jiffy, we will display that for you to see. And so for Dr. Kezia Lotu-Forson, Honorable Dr. Kezia Lotu-Forson, he is going to be the Minister of Finance designated MP for Ejumako-Enyan Essien constituency. He is a distinguished politician and a financial expert in public finance, as well as in microeconomics, fiscal policy, tax policy and business management. For his political journey, he's been an MP for the Ejumako-Enyan Essien constituency since 2009 and is still in Parliament again. And he has also served as Deputy Finance Minister from 2013 to 2017 under President John Mahama's government. Again, he was appointed as Minority Leader of the 8th Parliament in January 2023. We also do know that he currently is holding the minority position or the leadership in Parliament. Away from him, we do have Honorable John Abdullahi Jinapor, who is the Minister for Energy Designate and MP for Yape Kushegu. He is also a distinguished politician with a wealth of experience and expertise in the energy portfolio. He also holds a master's degree in development, finance, and postgraduate diploma in finance and financial law from the University of London, and also has his master's over them in energy and economics from GIMPA. In his political journey, we do know that he is the current MP for Yape Kushegu and has been since 2017, whereas he also has been appointed as Deputy Minister of Energy since 2013 in the Mahama administration to 2017, and has served as the ranking member of Parliament Committee on Mines and Energy. Next is Dr. Dominic Ayine, the most distinguished personality people are talking about, and he is going to be perhaps the Attorney General and the Minister of Justice, but for now is designate, and he is the MP for Bolgatanga East constituency. And for his journey, just for a background of his career, he is a senior lawyer with 3 decades of experience and practice. He's previously served as Deputy Attorney General and Minister for Justice and is the founding partner of Ayine and Partners Law Offices. In his political journey, he's currently the MP for Bolgatanga East and has been since 2013. Again, he served as Deputy Attorney General and Deputy Minister of Justice for Justice in 2017, as well as he served in Parliamentary Select Committee on Constitutional and Legal and Parliamentary Affairs. Not just that, he's also served on Parliamentary Select Committee in Housing. So these are the names that the presidency has put out, but the minority leader, Alexander Fenyumarkin, has criticized the government for releasing key announcement to the press before informing Parliament. This follows Mahama's recent ministerial appointment, where Dr. Kayzelotto Thorson has been appointed Finance Minister designate, and Dr. Dominic Ayine and John Jinapor appointed as Attorney General and Minister of Justice designate and Energy Minister designate respectively. Speaking on the floor of Parliament, the minority leader bemoaned the lack of prior acknowledgement to the House before the announcement was made in the media. According to him, this undermines the integrity of the House and goes against the Speaker's previous statement on the same situation in the 8th Parliament. He called on the new government to do better in communicating the appointment to the House before announcing it.
In the 8th Parliament, under President Akufo-Addo, Right Honorable Speaker made an observation, very profound, that matters Right Honorable Speaker observed that communications to the House must first be known to the House before it gets into the media. This House should not be a secondary recipient of that which is its bona fide. I do not appreciate the fact that a statement will be issued when Parliament has not already received the communication. Parliament should be the first to receive the communication before it gets out into the media. And that was the position taken by Right Honorable Speaker. So I would want to draw attention of the executive to this matter, especially when the acting spokesperson of the executive is one of our own, my own respected colleague, Felix Ofosu-Kwakye, very, very resilient guy. He doesn't fall easily. He knows his stuff. And
let's still stay a little while on this matter. The minority leader Alexander Fenyumarkin has expressed dissatisfaction with what he described as a thought approach to ministerial appointment by President John Dramani Mahama. His remark came after the Speaker of Parliament announced the President's nomination of 3 minister designates for vetting by the Appointment Committee. On Thursday, January 9, President Mahama nominated Dr. Kayzelotto Thorson as Finance Minister designate, John Abdullahi Jinapor as Energy Minister designate, and Dominic Ayine as Attorney General and Minister of Justice designate. Addressing Parliament, Fenyumarkin argued that government committed to delivering a 24-hour economy should have a comprehensive list of ministerial appointments ready rather than making piecemeal nominations.
When the names were read out by Mr. Speaker, he read out only 3 names. The Finance Minister designate, the Energy Minister designate, and the Attorney General and Minister of Justice designate. Mr. Speaker, this thought appointment is unacceptable. Mr. Speaker, This is a government that promised a 24-hour economy in opposition. They told us that they were ready for government. Mr. Speaker,
Honorable Minority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, indulge me.
Honorable Minority Leader.
Yes, indulge me.
Honorable Minority Leader.
Is that how you are starting it?
Please.
Let me finish. Let me.
Honorable Minority Leader.
Yes.
I'm just indulging you because you are a leader. This is a time slotted for correction of vote and proceedings.
Yeah, with your leave. I took your leave. Haruna Idrisu, Honorable Haruna Idrisu used to slot this in. I'm doing that. Mr. Speaker, this government, I'm talking for you, please, it's for you. Mr. Speaker, this government promised a 24-hour economy. Mr. Speaker, we expect them to be ready from day one. Mr. Speaker, you cannot start energy, finance, attorney general. When are the rest of the ministers? You must be ready. We want to hear Ama Kofi Bua. We want to hear Agric. We want to hear Agric Ministry. Honorable Eric Opoku.
Honorable Leader.
Honorable Eric Opoku.
Honorable Minority
We want to
Leader.
hear Agric Ministry. We want to hear roads and highways.
Honorable Minority Leader.
We want to hear lands and natural resources.
Honorable
We
Minority
want to hear
Leader.
education. Mr. Speaker.
I recognize the Deputy
Mr.
Leader
Speaker,
on his feet.
So,
Deputy Leader, are you on point of order?
Well, President John Dramani Mahama has highlighted the difficulty of this task and the high expectations of Ghanaians for a leaner government. According to him, he can only appoint 60 ministers despite hundreds of recommendations and lobbying going on, stating that many lobbyists will be disappointed. Despite the challenges, Mahama reassured the public that contributing to the success of the administration extends beyond ministerial appointment. He further emphasized the importance of learning from the mistakes of the previous administration to ensure a more effective and trusted government.
The difficult part. I cannot do this work alone, and so I have to select some people to join me to be able to deliver the resets that we have promised Ghanaians. And it's coming in at a time when Ghanaians expected a reduction in the size of government. And so you won't want to be in my shoes when you promise to appoint only 60 ministers and you have thousands of people sending their CVs. Definitely some people will be disappointed. But it's not only by playing a role at that level that you can contribute to the success of government. There are many other things that we can all do. And I always say that the success of this administration will guarantee us, another term, maybe under some other leader, but we need to get this right so that Ghanaians will repose the confidence in us and give us another opportunity to continue. So all of us must put our shoulders to the wheel and work as hard as we can in order to achieve this. Now the difficult part. I cannot do this work alone, and so I have to select some people to join me to be able to deliver the resets that we have promised Ghanaians.
Let's have a conversation on the back of this, and joining us on the line is governance expert Dr. Frederick Oduro to have an extensive conversation perhaps on this. Doc, good evening and welcome to our bulletin this evening.
Good evening, Derek.
First of all, Doc, the list is out. Mr. Mahama, President, has unleashed or unraveled his list of ministerial appointees. Perhaps I should ask, this is a solid team to tackle the key issues, or just as some have said, this is the same faces with no difference. But have you seen the list and what do you make of it so far?
I hope you mean the three-member list.
Absolutely.
The Mr. John Jinapor, Dr. Tuforsen, and then Dr. Ayine, I believe.
Yes, Doc.
Okay. Well, by and large, it is not surprising. If you look at Mr. John Jinapor, he was a deputy minister for energy in the previous NDC government under President Mahama. And Mr. Japo was somebody who worked quite closely with President Mahama while they were in office. And if you remember, at one stage, when the substantive minister resigned, and the then Minister for Finance had oversight responsibility, Mr. Japo continued to serve as a deputy minister, although not under a substantive minister. And while the NDC has been out of office, he's been speaking extensively on energy issues. So for me, it shouldn't be too strange to have him, appointed as substantive minister. I believe he's got he's got the knowledge and the skill set to handle the position. But Dr. Forson has been the front liner in terms of the finance and economic issues, whilst he was serving as the minority leader. What has come as a surprise to me that not too long ago he was named as the majority leader, but then if he's going to serve as the Minister for Finance, obviously he cannot remain as the majority leader. But he was also a deputy minister and has worked on finance committee for very long when the NDC was out of power. So I would think he is quite capable of handling the position. And same with Dr. Aine. Dr. Aine was a deputy minister again. He's been doing much of the NDC legal work. He's been speaking on legal matters. He's also he served throughout the period as a member of parliament. So I would not say same old faces. That would be unfair to them. I believe these individuals have done quite well for themselves. I think they are capable of doing the job. So I don't have a lot of issues with them.
Right. Doc, since you're a governance expert, let me just take your thought on what the minority leader, Afenyo Markin, said earlier today. He raised a concern that Parliament should have had first-hand to have been the receiver of this list before getting it to the public. But walk us through some of the education. Would you say that that's the right thing to do, or perhaps the presidency erred in this release?
No, the presidency has not erred. The point is that there are two things at play here. First, the president has the prerogative to appoint whoever he wants. And the president must, for them to be submitted to the vetting process, the president is to forward it to the Speaker of Parliament. And then the parliamentary committee will have to do it. So the appointments committee will have to do their work on these individuals. Now, if the president chooses to announce what he's going to send to Parliament, it doesn't hurt anyone. If he chooses to send it to Parliament before the announcement comes, it cannot hurt anyone. Forgive me. So, in principle, I don't see where the president could have erred by not referring the matter to Parliament first. I think it is not a major issue for us to, make an issue. I think Mr. Afenyo Markin has got a lot of work to do to put this government on its feet. But this cannot be an issue that you can say, oh, they are not doing something right. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it.
Doc, again, he makes the argument that the president should stop making a thought list and must fully unveil his nominees or appointees. But let me just find out from you, how important is it for a government to announce a full list of ministers at once, especially as we also do know that the country, as it stands now, is facing some critical challenges. And just as the minority leader said, the government seemed to be nominating his appointees or ministers in thought by thought. How do you react to this as a governance perspective?
Okay, I can tell you. Today, the president today's date is the 9th, right? Today is the 9th. The president was inaugurated on the 7th. This is exactly 48 hours or so after the inauguration. For me, this is one of the quickest announcements ever made by any president. And the fact that 3 names have come also goes to underline the fact that, the economy, Minister of Finance, Economic Planning, or Minister of Finance for that matter, the economy is a critical sector. It's going to underpin virtually everything any government will do. Then you look at the energy. The reported looming energy crisis would call for an immediate appointment of a minister for energy to tackle the announced looming crisis in the energy sector. Then you look at the fact that even if you look at the constitution with the composition of the cabinet, you reckon that the only ministry that is specifically mentioned, or the only position that is specifically mentioned in the constitution, is the Attorney General. So the position of an Attorney General is a key and fundamental position that every president is bound to appoint. Apart from the position of an Attorney General, no other portfolio is mentioned in the Constitution, except to say that there are supposed to be other ministers, but no specified sector ministry is mentioned as what the president should have. So any president can choose to have any ministry, but that president must have the Attorney General and, of course, the Minister for that substantive minister for that role. So if you look at all these things, the 3 names that have been announced, I think if we go back into our history, it will constitute the quickest that any president has done relative to appointment. So I think we should move forward with this. This, for me, is not a major issue. Of course, President Mahama has got the experience of having been in office before. So obviously, he may know the people he's going to nominate. So if today he's mentioned 3 names, and maybe in about 3 days he mentions another set of names, Parliament itself is not even ready to meet with these people yet. So we can't complain about the names coming out in
Doc, I'm afraid we have to end the conversation here, but we're so much grateful for your time on this particular conversation. We're hoping to get to you on a broader conversation on these nominations that seem to be, unveiled anytime soon. Once again, we appreciate your time. Dr. Frederick Kojo is a governance expert, and he shared his thought on that. But still, on His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama, he has assured Ghanaians of his government's unwavering commitment to resolving the energy crisis and preventing a return to the era of doomsday. And speaking at the National Convention of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Missions Ghana on Thursday, January 9, President Mahama acknowledged the critical challenges facing the country, particularly in the energy sector. He assured citizens that his administration is fully committed to addressing these issues head-on, and the president highlighted the looming threat of power outages due to insufficient fuel supplies for power generation. However, he urged Ghanaians to refrain and remain hopeful and confident in his government's ability to find sustainable solutions.
Normally, to forestall blackouts because of the loss of almost 2,000 megawatts of power, we have to make provision for fuel. And this is light crude oil, heavy fuel oil, and distillate fuel. Unfortunately, enough provision was not made for this eventuality. When the fuel arrives, it takes time to import it, 3 weeks to place an order and get it delivered. And when it arrives, you have to treat the fuel for another week and a half to make it ready for use in the generating plants. And so there's a threat of power outages. But my brothers and sisters, don't despair. Like I said, you elected us to solve the problems, not to put the blame on anybody else or to shoulder you with those problems. And so yesterday I called a meeting of all the stakeholders in the electricity value chain. And they have been sitting since yesterday to today to come out with innovative solutions so that we're able to keep the lights on. And so I can assure you, with some of the ideas they've come up with, we would make sure that your lights stay on and that we do not have doomsday, as you popularly call it.
Let's still remain focused on some energy-related issue, and the West African gas pipeline company WAPCO has agreed to postpone its planned pipeline maintenance by 2 weeks, averting an imminent power crisis in energy. This decision comes after intense negotiation led by a technical committee established by Chief of Staff Julius Deborah to tackle the looming energy challenges. The maintenance initially scheduled to commence this week was flagged by the Ghana Grid Company, Gridco, as a significant threat to the country's electricity supply. Gridco warned that the ongoing fuel shortage for thermal plants combined with the disruption in gas supply for the pipeline would severely cripple Ghana's power generation capacity. At a high-level meeting involving WAPCO representatives, Gridco officials and the technical committee, the stakeholders deliberated on the potential impact of the maintenance on the national grid. Concerns were raised about the possible reintroduction of power outages, which could disrupt businesses and households across the country. Following the decisions and discussions, WAPCO agreed to delay the maintenance and allow authorities more time to secure alternative fuel supplies and stabilize electricity generation. Ghana is ready to renegotiate with the United States government for possible reinstatement of $190 million under the Millennium Challenge Corporation that had been devoted to the electricity sector. President John Dramani Mahama disclosed this during a courtesy call on him by Usman Diagana, the World Bank Vice President for West and Central Africa. In Accra, President Mahama reiterated that there was a need for his administration to change the system in the energy sector to make sure that they pay down to debt and make it more efficient than it is currently. He recalled that during his tenure as Vice President under the late President Professor John Evans Atta Mills, he, on behalf of the President, signed the MCC, which was meant to improve and make Ghana the most efficient producer of electricity in Africa and become a major hub for electricity export. Quoting, I spoke to the Americans and met the Millennium Challenge Corporation, and we asked if they could reinstate the $190 million that they had devoted to that aspect of it, and they said the door is not closed, unquote. The president also said that so we need to pursue the discussions, or if don't have access to the $190 million, the World Bank can support us and be able to finish that aspect of it. We can also reduce the losses when it has to do with the independent power producer, the IPP. And Mr. Usman Diagana, the World Bank Vice President for West and Central Africa, underscored the bank's commitment to support Ghana's socio-economic development agenda. also had to reach out to the executive director of the Institute of Energy and Security, Nana Amoisi, to have a conversation on this, but it seems like we're not seeming to get him, but we'll do that in a jiffy when we do establish better contact with him. You're still watching ABC News. This is Prime News here on ABC. You can connect with us live on our social web, that is on YouTube. We stream it live, ABC News GH. Follow us, let's know what you think about the stories. Away from some energy, the President, John Dramani Mahama, has reaffirmed his government's dedication to improving governance justice system to ensure fairness, impartiality, and equitable equality for all. Speaking at the 92nd Jalsa Saula of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Mission Ghana at Gomwa Pomaze in the Winneba in the Central region, he emphasized that central role of justice in national development and unveiled his plan to establish a committee to organize a national constitutional review validation conference to carry out major reform with the 1992 constitution. The president pledged that his administration would work in strengthen judicial independence and address systemic inequalities in the justice system. He assured Ghanaians that every citizen, regardless of statute or background, would be treated with dignity and fairness under the law.
Justice is a moral compass that must guide our every decision, every law, and every interaction in our nation. To this end, the new NDC administration is resolutely committed to strengthening our justice system to ensure judicial independence and address the systemic inequalities that currently exist. I can assure you that this administration will work tirelessly to ensure that every Ghanaian, regardless of your status or background, is treated with dignity and afforded equal protection under the law. Amir, Chairman, my brothers and sisters, to achieve this objective of justice, we would have to move the stalled constitutional review process forward. To achieve this, I would soon establish a committee to begin the planning of a national constitutional review validation conference to achieve broad consensus on the way forward.
Let's go back to our earlier story in the energy sector, and we have been joined on the line by the Executive Director of the Institute of Energy Security, Nana Amoisi II, to have a conversation. Nana, good evening and thanks for your time.
Good evening, thanks for having me, Eric.
Yes, first of all, let me just find out your thought on this. How would you describe the handling of the purported looming power crisis by the new government?
Well, I would describe it as innovative, that for the first time we have such major issue where the president and the leadership of the country is willing to bring together various stakeholders at the table in a very transparent manner to discuss the issues and get some result out of it. The broader consultation is positive, and that's how we will describe it.
Now, again, we know that the president has made some assurance to Ghanaians of his government's commitment to resolving the energy crisis and perhaps preventing another doomsday era. But how realistic is this assurance, given that we do face some urgency in terms of power crisis and other challenges in the sector?
Well, I'm sure he's giving this assurance based on the feedback he's had from the major stakeholders, particularly WAPCO, to the point that he's been asking them, as we understand from the background, to defer the program for some weeks. And I'm sure they've gone back doing the risk analysis, and they seem to be a bit comfortable with that arrangement. They are yet to firm it up, but then that is the easiest route to take, so that we have room enough to bring in liquid fuel to serve as alternative should natural gas flow be disrupted because of the cleanup exercise and the replacements of subsea valves and others. And so we are quite convinced that something positive will come out of this. and so that we avert the imminent power outages in the next 10 or 11 days.
Now, speaking now, we do know that Ghana is renegotiating with the U.S. With some 190 million in the energy sector. But let me find out from you, perhaps if you have some perspective of this, if the 190 million from the Millennium Challenge, as we do know that the government is in negotiation with the U.S., is sorted out and is reinstated, how crucial will this funding be to addressing Ghana's pressing energy challenges, including some inefficiencies and debt challenges that we do face?
Yes, they're great, particularly the distribution segments. I've not seen any significant investment over the last 8 years. And so it means that it's been more weakened than it used to be. And when you have a very weak grade, it means that it can't disappoint you at every point in time, and that it also increases your technical losses because of the leakages of power and all that. Yes, we'll need money to invest in this space. I am not sure whether this time the 190 million can really meet expectation, because it's been some 5 or 6 years now, and the exchange rates has really been bad against us. Something close 500 million, I'm sure we'll be able to do enough. But we start from somewhere and we move to a higher expectation. However, I would say that whether it is 200 million or 500 million, we still need investment in the grid, and a substantial one, of course. So an attempt to bring back, to get back that Millennium Challenge account support is a good step. But I think that we should be aiming for, we should be aiming higher, because this time around it's going to cost us more than we expected when the PDS and ECG concessionary agreement was mooted.
Now, you were suggesting 500 million or perhaps over, but what key sectors or areas should this funding focus on?
Well, when we come into the grid space or the distribution space, definitely we'll need to retool the transformers, capacitors, the lines, the substations, and all that, and also invest into metering, of course, because today we are unable to account for most of the power that is sold by the ECG, because some of the meters are still analog and are not smart meters. Also, those that are smart meters are not really performing to expectation. So even though we buy most of our power or consume them on prepaid basis, we still are struggling to raise even more than 50% of the expected revenue in some months. And so some areas on the pipelines, on the pylons, on the transformers, capacitor, and a whole lot, you'll find the weaknesses in there.
Now, we for the sake of time, we'd have to end the conversation here, but we're grateful that you could speak with us this evening.
Thanks for having me.
Nana Mwesi the Seventh is the executive director of the Institute of Energy Security. He says Ghana needs roughly or more 500 million to tackle this debt. Well, we'll see how that goes. But away from that, let's do some election stories. And a scuffle breaks out between police and the NDC supporters in Okankwe Central as protests intensify over the declaration of Patrick Yeboahma, the NPP parliamentary candidate, as the winner of the 2024 parliamentary election for the second time this week. Protesters blocked the Fadama Bombay stretch, demanding the declaration of Baba Sadiq Abdullah, the NDC, as NP on January 7. Some Abeka residents in the Okankwe Central constituency protested the declaration and swearing in of Patrick Yeboahma as their member of parliament. They took to the streets in a fiery protest after the parliamentary seat initially declared for the candidate Baba Sadiq was declared for Patrick Boahma following a recollation of vote. Mr. Boahma, who was the constituency's incumbent MP, was officially declared the winner for the constituency with 21,099 votes, defeating the National Democratic Congress NDC candidate Baba Sadiq, who polled 19,369 votes. This declaration followed a High Court ruling in Accra that directed the Electoral Commission to complete the recollation and collation of results in several constituencies, including Kankwe Central, Tema Central, Ablekumo North, and Techiman South by January 6, 2025. You're still watching ABC Prime. This is our major news bulletin this evening. Let's move straight into some more conversations. Meanwhile, the minority in caucus in Ghana's ninth parliament has raised alarm over what it described as a surge in violence, threatening and intimidation following the recent election. At a press conference held on Thursday, January 9 at Parliament House in Accra, the caucus condemned the alleged action of individuals purported to be affiliated with the National Democratic Congress, accusing the party's leadership of sponsoring these activities. Deputy Minority Leader Patricia P.J., who addressed the parliamentary press corps, cited numerous incidents of violence on election day, including physical assault on voters attempting to disrupt the electoral process and harassment of election or electoral officials. Now, she also highlighted specific cases such as alleged arson attacks on election officials in Damangom and Tepa, and the destruction of electoral materials at the Ayentuano District Electoral Office.
Not just those who support his party, the NDC, it is deeply disheartening that in the face of these troubling developments, the president has remained largely silent since taking office. While he had made a general call for calm as president-elect, this is not enough. The president must demonstrate leadership by condemning these acts unequivocally and directing law enforcement agencies to act decisively. The events surrounding the Economic and Organized Crime Office, YOCO, where a statue was vandalized on the day of the president's inauguration, remain unresolved. The incidents in Koforidia, Tema, and other parts of the country highlight a pattern of inactions and silence from the highest office of the land. This inaction embodies lawlessness and sends a troubling message to Ghanaians. These are just a few of many incidents of thuggery and violence occurring across the country. Even before President John Dramani Mahama officially took the oath of office, he set a dangerous tone for governance by establishing the so-called Operating Recover All Loots Oral Committee. This committee, purportedly tasked with reclaiming assets allegedly stolen by members of the previous government, has no legal or constitutional foundation. Not just those who support his party, the NDC, it is deeply disheartening that in the face of these troubling developments.
Away from that, let's pay attention to some education matters, and it seems that some senior high school students in the Sekondi Takoradi metropolis are feeling the pinch of Ghana's ongoing food crisis in senior high schools. Speaking to ABC News Ghana, they explained that their parents have had to step in and increasing the provisions they send them to school. Now, this change has come after CHAS, that is the Conference of Heads of Assistant Secondary Schools, urged parents to pinch in food supplies to support their wards. According to the students, things have taken a turn for the worse in the school dining hall. portions have also shrunk noticeably, and to make matters even worse, the students are not even allowed into the dining hall anymore. Reflecting on the last semester, they reminisce about the good old days not that long ago, and well, some meals were of decent quality and served in reasonable portions. The students, however, also declined to be captured on camera, but our reporter Jacob Barr, who filed this report, has joined us on phone, and he would get some clarity. We would want to get some clarity on this conversation. Jacob, good evening, and this is quite an interesting but rather sad story. But which schools are these students from?
Yes, so these students are from the Spijai Secondary School and Archbishop Potter School, or in the STMA Metropolis. And speaking with them, they stated that the quality of the food has reduced, and also some of the day students used to enjoy the dining hall food, but up to now they've not been able to enjoy some of the food. Hence, they have to either go for food from the canteen or bring food from the house to be able to curb the current situation in various schools in the region.
Jacob, let's touch on that day school thing you mentioned. How I mean, are students not allowed in the dining hall anymore, and what prompted this decision, and how are the students even managing with this?
Yes, you see, both schools are day and boardings. They are day and boarding students, and usually the boarders are the ones who usually enjoy the dining hall food. But with this situation, they have to, put a stop for the day students, so that the boarders who are already in school will be allowed to enjoy some of the food that they are given. And the day students are either enjoying food from the canteen, or it's either they bring food from the house to their parents, from their parents, to be able to, help sustain them in school, since they are not being allowed, or they are not allowed to enter the dining hall to get something to eat.
Jacob, and so far, if you've been able to engage some of the parents, how are they taking this situation, considering now that they have to spend more?
Well, some have taken it cool, since they know that they provided for their awards is the best for them, because they know the nutrients and the quality of food that they prepare for their children, rather than the school preparing it for them. Some have taken it cool, but to others too, they are in crisis because they have to, top up or make sure that there's enough or adequate money or food for their kids to be able to go to school. Because if not, they won't know the future of their kids. So, and that some of them have taken it, whilst others too have taken it abysmal, or they are not in contempt with whatever is going on currently.
Jacob, we're grateful that you could speak and give some more clarity on this matter. We'll come back for more updates.
Thank you very much.
My colleague Jacob Barr, who filed this report, has given us some light on that. Quite some more in conversations, and we'll keep an eye on that. But still, on some more stories, President John Mahama has announced plans to establish a planning committee for a national education review conference, which aims to address challenges and reforms Ghana's educational system. The proposed National Education Review Conference will examine the education system from kindergarten through tertiary, including technical and vocational education. Speaking at the National Convention of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Missions Ghana at Winneba in the Central Region, Mr. Mahama noted that the conference will identify obstacles to quality education at each level and generate actionable recommendations to address them. Additionally, President Mahama emphasized the need for a targeted intervention to ensure equitable and quality learning opportunities for all.
Education is the cornerstone of national progress. And to this end, as promised, while strengthening basic education, we will sustain and enhance the free SHS policy so that we gain the benefits that it is intended to bestow. We will address challenges such as overcrowding to ensure quality education at all levels. Our plans also include free tuition for first-year students entering public tertiary institutions, the completion of abandoned e-blocks, and investments to provide equitable learning opportunities nationwide and across the whole education value chain. These initiatives will empower our youth with the skills needed to excel in a rapidly changing world. We shall emphasize technical vocational education and training so that we can produce the skilled manpower that is needed for business and industry. I'm going to set up a planning committee to start working on the National Education Review Conference that I promised. This conference will review our educational system right from the kindergarten through the basic to secondary to tertiary to technical basic education. We will sustain and enhance the free SHS policy so that we gain the benefits that it is intended to bestow. We will address challenges such as overcrowding to ensure quality education at all levels. Our plans also include free tuition for first-year students entering public tertiary institutions, the completion of abandoned e-blocks, and investments to provide equitable learning opportunities nationwide and across the whole education value chain. These initiatives will empower our youth with the skills needed to excel in a rapidly changing world. We shall emphasize technical vocational education and training so that we can produce the skilled manpower that is needed for business and industry. I'm going to set up a planning committee to start working on the National Education Review Conference that I promised. This conference will review our educational system right from the kindergarten through the basic to secondary to tertiary to technical.
You're welcome back to the business segment. In business, renowned economist and finance minister nominee Dr. Keizalotu Forson has received strong endorsement following his nominations by President John Dramani Mahama. Speaking on ABC Midday News, Professor Lord Mensah of the University of Ghana Business School lauded Dr. Forson's qualification and experience and prudence, describing him as an ideal candidate for the critical role of finance minister.
I mean, he's someone who is more conserved. He knows how to manage his lifestyle in the public space. He's not, sophisticated when it comes to, should I say, usage of resources. And these are people we need in managing, collective, resources like, the finance ministry, stands for. And then also, if you look at his education background, someone who has what we call PhD in finance from KNUST, and then looking at his master's being, tax and then economics, which are the two key areas for public financial management. I can say that yes, he's the right person for the position, and he's gathered a lot of experience.
Professor Lord Mensah of the University of Ghana Business School has also expressed confidence that Ghana's national debt is highly sustainable, emphasizing the importance of government's commitment in addressing the country's financial challenges.
I can say it's highly sustainable. The only difference is that we need to get commitment from government upon government. If we should give ourselves the next 5 to 7 years, we should be able to bring our debt to a sustainable level. It all depends on how we account for our expenditure lines and then how we allocate how we are able to mobilize revenue and then be able to, produce, reorient the economy. I mean, from the government concentrated economic, situation to the private-led, economy. And
let's begin some sports news after this. And in sport, former Ghana Football Association Executive Council member Samuel Enim Addo has been charged with breaching the GFA Ghana Premier League regulations over comments made on social media platform X, formerly known as Twitter. The Ghana FA accused Enim Addo of misconduct, asserting that his remarks brought the reputation of the association and the Ghana Premier League into disrepute. The charge, filed under Article 34, Clause 6D and 38(8)(c) of the GFA Ghana Premier League regulations, stems from statements Enim Addo made alleging misconduct by referee Maxwell Hansen during a game between Accra Lions and Dreams FC. Enim Addo referred to the officials as a hatchet man and used for a dirty work, and accused the GFA of silencing him for raising concerns about poor officiating. Currently serving as the president of the Young Apostles, Enim Addo has been given until Monday, January 13, 2024 to respond to the charges. Meanwhile, Young Apostles FC has distanced itself from comments made by its president Samuel Enim Afriyie criticizing referee Maxwell Hansen and the Ghana Football Association GFA. Enim Addo accused referee Maxwell Hansen of being the GFA's man for dirty works after Accra Lions 1-0 loss to Dreams FC. He also claimed the GFA threatened to relegate Young Apostles due to criticisms of officiating standards, sparking controversy on social media. The club stated that Enim Addo's remarks on social media do not reflect the club's view and assured the GFA of its cooperation. The GFA has charged Enim Addo with misconduct and has given him until January 13, 2024 to respond. We're back with some international updates. Chad's government announced on Wednesday evening that security forces successfully thwarted an attempt to destabilize the country after gunfire erupted near the presidential office in N'Djamena. Military personnel swiftly blocked surrounding streets to contain the situation. Government spokesperson Abderram, speaking from the presidential headquarters, assured the public that the situation was under control. The incident coincided with a visit by Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi to Chad, which recently ended in a long-standing defense cooperating pact with France. This development marked a shift in Chad's role as a Western ally in combating Islamic militants in Africa's Sahel regions. Chad is led by President Mahatma Idris Deby, who took power in 2021. On still some international stories, a philanthropist has gifted, well, that will be for internet entertainment. Do stay for that story. Entertainment philanthropist has gifted a Renault Kwid to Alhaji Yakubu Ayana, a 65-year-old man who undertook an extraordinary journey on foot from Kumasi in the Ashanti region to the Greater Accra region. The remarkable walk was an extent. His congratulations to President John Dramani Mahama. The presentation occurred at the Independence Square on Wednesday, January 8, 2025. In addition to the car, Alhaji Ayana received an undisclosed cash amount and clothes worth 5,000 Ghana cedis from 1957 clothing. Speaking during the presentation, Kofi Otchere, creative president of 1957, revealed that the anonymous philanthropist moved by Alhaji Yana's determination and sacrifice decided to reward his effort. Overwhelmed by the generosity, Alhaji Yakubu Oyana expressed his heartfelt gratitude. Many, including his children, discouraged him from undertaking the work due to health concerns. However, he remained optimistic, believing his mission was for a worthy cause. Well, hard work, they say, pays, but I don't know if any of you would want to take on that matter of a test to also try to walk for a long distance just to meet or congratulate whoever. But that's all for the package this evening. I am Eric Chinibuamelo, and on behalf of the entire production, say have a good evening and thanks for watching.